Once upon a time, in a bustling city, a heated confrontation unfolded on a quiet street corner. A man, just minding his own business, was standing near a cafe waiting for his coffee. He was dressed casually, jeans, a t-shirt, and a leather jacket, nothing out of the ordinary. But what happened next was anything but ordinary. A woman stormed out of the cafe, her heels clicking against the pavement. She appeared agitated, her voice sharp as she called out, "Hey, watch where you're standing!" The man turned, confused. "Excuse me?" "You're in my way," she snapped, pointing at the sidewalk as if she owned it. He raised an eyebrow. "I'm just waiting for my coffee. There's plenty of space." But she wasn't having it. Her sense of entitlement flared up, and she took a step closer, invading his personal space. "You should move when I tell you to," she sneered. The man, still calm, replied, "Ma'am, I don't know what your problem is, but I'm not doing anything wrong." That response only fueled her anger. Without warning, she shoved him. It wasn't a playful nudge, it was a full-force push, as if she expected him to stumble back and comply. But he barely moved. Now, this was the moment when most people would walk away, maybe call for security or try to de-escalate. But not her. She doubled down. "Who do you think you are?" she barked. "Men like you always think you can do whatever you want." The man sighed, still keeping his composure. "Ma'am, I think you need to calm down." That was the final straw. She swung at him, a full-fledged slap aimed straight at his face. But he saw it coming. His reflexes kicked in, and he blocked her strike with ease. Now, the tables had turned. The small crowd outside the cafe gasped. People pulled out their phones, sensing that something wild was about to unfold. "Don't touch me!" she shrieked, even though she was the one who initiated the attack. The man, keeping his cool, said, "You just tried to hit me." "You can't do that! I'm a woman!" she yelled, eyes flashing with fury. That's when reality hit her. The bystanders weren't taking her side. In fact, a few people murmured, "She started it," and "Did you see her push him?" Realizing she wasn't getting the reaction she expected, she switched tactics. "You're harassing me," she declared dramatically. A middle-aged woman from the crowd spoke up. "Honey, you're the one who hit him first. We all saw it." The entitled woman's face turned red. She hadn't anticipated this. The man, still standing firm, simply said, "You need to walk away before you make things worse for yourself." She looked around, hoping for someone to back her up, but no one did. Then, just as quickly as she had started the confrontation, she huffed and stormed off, muttering under her breath. The cafe doors swung open and a barista handed the man his coffee. "That was crazy," the barista said. The man chuckled, shaking his head. "Some people just can't handle being wrong." And just like that, he walked away, sipping his coffee, unfazed by the entitled woman's outburst. What she expected was submission. What she got was a reality check. As the man walked away, the crowd slowly dispersed, but the incident left a lasting impression on those who had witnessed it. People murmured amongst themselves, shaking their heads at the woman's behavior. She really thought she could get away with that, one bystander said. "Yeah, but did you see how calm he was? Most people would have lost their cool," another responded. A few people were still recording, probably planning to share the clip online. In this day and age, moments like these didn't just disappear, they often went viral. Meanwhile, the entitled woman, still fuming, stomped down the sidewalk, her mind racing. She couldn't believe what had just happened. In her world, things usually went her way. People either caved to her demands or walked away in frustration. But this man? He didn't back down. He didn't let her control the situation. And worst of all, he made her look foolish in front of an audience. Embarrassment turned to anger. She pulled out her phone and started typing furiously on social media. I was just harassed by a random man outside a cafe. He got aggressive with me and tried to intimidate me. I feel so unsafe. Men like him should be held accountable." She hit send, hoping the internet would rally behind her. She wanted sympathy. She wanted outrage. She wanted people to believe her version of events. But what she didn't realize was that multiple people had already uploaded videos of the encounter, and within minutes, the truth started spreading. Comments flooded in. "Wait. This isn't... What happened at all? You attacked him first. Girl, we saw the footage. You were the aggressor." This is why people don't trust these kinds of accusations anymore. Her post, instead of gaining sympathy, was being ripped apart. The internet wasn't buying her story. She tried to delete the post, but it was too late. Screenshots had been taken. The truth was out there, and now she was the one being called out. Meanwhile, the man had no idea about the online storm brewing. He was back at his apartment sipping his coffee, completely unbothered. His phone buzzed a few times, texts from friends who had seen the video online, but he simply laughed it off. The next day, when he checked his notifications, he saw that the clip had gone viral. Thousands of people were talking about it. Some praised him for staying calm. Others criticized the woman for her entitled behavior. And then he saw something unexpected, an apology message from the woman herself. "I messed up. I shouldn't have done that. I didn't expect people to turn on me. I just wanted to say sorry." He smirked. It was funny how quickly people changed, when they had no choice. He didn't bother responding. Some lessons in life didn't need acknowledgement. And so, the entitled woman learned the hard way. Actions have consequences, and playing the victim doesn't always work, especially when the truth is caught on camera. Over the next few days, the video continued to spread, making its way to various news outlets, commentary channels, and social media discussions. People debated the situation. Some used it as an example of double standards, while others focused on how important it was to hold everyone accountable for their actions, regardless of gender. The woman, once so confident in her entitlement, found herself facing a wave of backlash she had never experienced before. Her name and face were now associated with the incident, and no matter how much she tried to move past it, the internet never forgets. At first, she tried to fight back, responding to comments and insisting that she had been the real victim. But with every argument she made, someone would reply with a time-stamped video clip, shutting down her excuses instantly. She even tried to report the videos for harassment, hoping they would be taken down. But since she was the one who initiated the aggression, her complaints went nowhere. She started losing followers. Friends who once supported her began distancing themselves. Some people at work even recognized her and whispered about the incident behind her back. The consequences of her actions were finally hitting her, and she didn't know how to handle it. One evening, she sat alone in her apartment, scrolling through her notifications, watching her reputation crumble in real time. She was used to getting her way, to manipulating situations in her favor, but this time was different. This time, the truth was out in the open, and there was no escaping it. On the other hand, the man at the center of it all had moved on with his life. He wasn't interested in internet fame or revenge. He had simply defended himself and walked away. But people online weren't done with the story. He started receiving messages from strangers, some thanking him for standing up for himself, others sharing their own experiences of dealing with entitled individuals. A few content creators even reached out, asking if he'd be willing to do an interview. But he declined. He didn't need to dwell on what had happened. To him, it was just another day, a lesson in how entitlement and false accusations don't always go unchallenged. Days turned into weeks, and the internet, as it always does, found a new story to obsess over. The drama faded, and people moved on. But for the woman, the impact lingered. She had lost more than just an argument. She had lost credibility. And for the man, well, he had gained something far more valuable. He had proven that standing your ground, staying calm, and letting the truth speak for itself was always the best way to handle situations like these. In the end, justice wasn't served through retaliation. It was served through exposure. And as the world kept turning, one thing remained clear. Entitlement will only get you so far before reality catches up. As weeks went by, the entitled woman's life seemed to be in a constant state of upheaval. Her attempts to return to her normal routine were met with whispers and side glances, whether at work, social events, or even simple errands. People who had once been friends turned their backs on her, and the weight of the situation continued to drag her down. She realized that the narrative had shifted from her being the victim to her being the villain in a story that she could no longer control. No amount of social media posts or excuses could undo the damage she had caused. The more she tried to salvage her reputation, the more she found herself digging a deeper hole. People on the internet, while initially sympathetic to her frustration, now saw her as manipulative and dishonest. Even the apology she had posted was scrutinized, with many calling it insincere, more of an attempt to save face than a genuine acknowledgement of wrongdoing. To make matters worse, some of her previous employers had caught wind of the incident. The man's calm and rational response had gained him some respect and admiration, while her erratic behavior was a red flag. Her professional opportunities started to dwindle. The social circles she had once been part of became distant, and her isolation grew. She felt the weight of regret, something she hadn't experienced in a long time. The world had turned on her, and the truth had a funny way of catching up when you least expected it. As for the man, he continued with his life as if nothing had happened. He was the subject of a brief online trend, but for him, it was just another moment in a day that would soon be forgotten by most. He didn't care about becoming famous or gaining followers. What mattered was how he had handled himself in a difficult situation. He had made his peace with it, and his strength was in his ability to not let the drama consume him. However, the ripple effect of that single encounter had a deeper impact than he realized. The videos of the confrontation had sparked discussions across the internet about entitlement, respect, and how society often views or dismisses certain behaviors based on gender, race, or status. Many praised the man for standing his ground, not letting her manipulate the situation. Others took the opportunity to highlight how easily some individuals could manipulate situations by playing the victim. A broader conversation about personal responsibility and integrity began to emerge, and the incident became a teaching moment for many. As time went on, the woman had to face the consequences of her actions. She reached out to some of the people she had wronged, attempting to rebuild relationships. Some accepted her apologies, others didn't. But through it all, she learned a hard lesson about humility. She finally understood that respect isn't something you can demand, it's something you earn. The entitlement she had once worn like armor had only made her more vulnerable. Now, with her reputation tarnished and her confidence shattered, she found herself rethinking her approach to life and relationships. One day she crossed paths with the man again. It wasn't a planned meeting, but as fate would have it, they found themselves at the same cafe. The moment was awkward, as she was unsure how to face him after everything that had happened. The man, however, simply smiled and nodded. No hard feelings, no lingering animosity, just a simple acknowledgement of the shared history. "Hey," she said hesitantly. "Hey," he replied, sipping his coffee. There was a long pause, and then, for the first time in a while, she said something. From the heart. "I owe you an apology." He looked up, surprised, but not offended. "I was out of line, and I'm sorry for what I did," she added, her voice sincere. He nodded, his expression calm. "I appreciate that," he said, "and no hard feelings. It's done." And that was it. They went their separate ways again, but for her it felt like the start of something new. No more pretending, no more excuses, just the truth. She wasn't asking for redemption, but in that moment, she realized the weight of what it meant to be accountable for her actions. For him, the encounter was just another moment in his day, but he walked away knowing that sometimes the real victory is in letting people take responsibility for themselves. He wasn't a hero. He didn't need to be. He had simply chosen not to be a part of the drama. In the end, both of their lives continued. She, now with a lesson learned, focused on improving herself, slowly earning back some of the trust she had lost. He, unchanged and unfazed, remained grounded in his belief that responding with respect and maintaining his integrity was the most important thing in life.